Hey there, welcome to the channel. So we all know it's pumpkin spice season, but it's also apple season. So let's not forget about those. And today, let's give the apple just a little bit of love. Today, we're making these Apple Pie Oat Cookies. They are gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, vegan, and they can be refined sugar-free. At least that's how the recipe's written. So let's go ahead and make these so I can taste them. I'm Jamie with SavorySaver. I share gluten-free recipes, tips, tricks, and resources to make your gluten-free lifestyle easier. So please consider hitting subscribe, and let's get started. So before we get started and I jump into this recipe and we go over a few recipe notes beforehand, I have a question for you guys, so leave your answer in the comments below. I recently had a comment on one of my videos. I'm not going to say which one because they're entitled to their opinion, and I didn't think it was horrible. But it was a recipe that didn't do well when I made it, and it was kind of a failure. Well, they thought that I shouldn't have even shown the recipe, and I should have made the recipe once before to see if it actually worked. Guys, this isn't Food Network, so for me, I'm okay showing you guys the failures because you guys know in the gluten-free baking world that stuff doesn't go right lots of times. So leave me comments below on if I make a recipe, which I often do without making it before. If I make those recipes, do you want to see those? Do you not want to see those? Do you want to see what you can fix in those recipes? Because I'm always looking at ways to fix recipes because sometimes it is me and not the recipe. So leave those comments below. Now let's get to the actual recipe. This recipe, super simple ingredients, not a lot of work or effort on your part either. So I did say it could be refined sugar-free. The recipe calls for unsweetened applesauce. We actually have sweetened in the house, so to keep it refined sugar-free, definitely use that unsweetened. I've also made just a couple tweaks. You don't need to make these tweaks if you don't want to. It calls for cinnamon, and instead of cinnamon, since it's apple pie cookies, I'm actually gonna swap that out for an apple pie spice substitute, so I'm gonna just use a few more spices in addition to the cinnamon. But if you only have cinnamon and don't want to grab the other spices, use cinnamon. Finally, it calls for oil. It says avocado oil. I don't have that in the house ever. And if I start having it in the house, that'll be a different story. But today I'm using canola oil. So use whatever neutral oil that you feel is best. Now let's mix these up because they're only going to take a couple minutes. All right, so for the cookies, I've got 1 cup of quick oats and 1 cup of oat flour in a large bowl. Make sure your ingredients are gluten-free because, as you know, oats can also be cross-contamination grains with wheat. So make sure you are getting the certified gluten-free versions of those when needed. I will link down below to some options. Tara doesn't usually have reactions to oats, thankfully, so I usually just get whatever, but definitely get your gluten-free stuff as needed. Next, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now I'm gonna add my spices. So if you're just using cinnamon, you wanna add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm gonna do a little more apple pie spice with mine. So I'm gonna use half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice. Finally, a dash of cloves and a dash of ginger. I'm gonna skip the cloves today, I think, and just add a little bit of ginger. So just a dash, which a dash is about 1/16 of a teaspoon. Okay, I'm gonna mix this up to help break up the clumps in the oat flour and mix the oats in. All right, let's get our wet ingredients ready. So I've got 1/3 of a cup of applesauce. There's a little bit more there. I'm okay with that. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of oil, and part of the reason I used this container is because I'm also going to use 1/3 of a cup or 5 tablespoons of maple syrup. So I can actually put it in here. The oil will help the maple syrup pour right out of there. Also guys, in regards to the applesauce, keep it unsweetened to keep that refined sugar to a 0. Finally, the recipe says 1 apple peeled and diced. It doesn't say what size. This is a small apple, but I think I'm just going to use it and call it good. We'll see how that comes out. So I'll just dice it pretty small. I also am going to turn my oven on to 355 degrees Fahrenheit so we can bake them off. So I'm going to turn that on now so it's preheated, ready to go when I am. Let me get this peeled and diced and we'll get everything mixed up. All right, all chopped up, pretty small, pretty fine dice there. So I think we're gonna have plenty of apple. Let's get it added to our other ingredients. Give everything a good mix. This mixed up super easy. It looks like a cookie batter or dough, so I'm excited about that. Doesn't say how many this makes, and it does say to do on a parchment lined baking sheet. I got my big baking sheet out. I may not need that for this, so I'm gonna grab the smaller cookie sheet that I was gonna use first. Hopefully there's enough room on it. It says to parchment line it, but I'm gonna use a non-stick, so I'm gonna skip the parchment this time. So I've got my pan here. I've got my cookie batter ready to go, and we're making it into balls, and since it's a little sticky, I think I'm just gonna use a cookie scoop. This is about 1.5 tablespoons. Probably a little small, but I'm gonna go with this. And if you have one that's probably 2 tablespoons, would probably be a little better. So let's use this and see what they look like. Of course, I know at this point I'm gonna run out of room, so let me switch. Okay, so I've got 19 cookies out of it, right? 16, 18, 19. So it says to flatten them, so I think I'm just gonna use the back of my measuring glass there. Dip it in a little bit of water. And let's see if I can do it that way. Okay, that didn't seem like it wanted to cooperate. So let's just dip my fingers in the water. There we go. So damp fingers. All right, my oven is ready. These are gonna bake for 15 to 20 minutes. It does not say we have to cool them. It does not say to leave them on the cookie sheet. It does not say they should be lightly browned. So we're just gonna use our cookie skills from other cookies we've made. We'll see what they look like. I will see when they come out if I think they need to be pulled immediately or sit for a second. And then I think I'm gonna do some photos and we're gonna give them a try. So let's jump you guys ahead. So here's what they look like after 15 minutes. They are nice and golden brown and they feel like they're done. So I'm gonna leave them, let them cool for a minute, get a couple photos, and we're gonna give them a try, hopefully while they're still warm. Done, bake through, out of the oven. We're gonna try them in just a second. Let's go over a few recipe notes. Now, let's try them and then go over some recipe notes. All right, so that's what that looks like. Fine dice on the apples worked well. Nice and golden on the bottom. Soft in the middle. I like those. Those are good. I might need to have a second one. Yeah, I'm probably gonna work on this as I talk about it. So, let me grab my coffee. Okay. Photos of us. You don't ever see Tara on the channel, and this is from, gosh, probably 8 or 9 years ago now at this point. Anyway, first let's talk ingredients. Easy ingredients to find. If you do not have oat flour, but you have oats, I would certainly take a cup of oats, pop it in the food blender or in your food processor, blend it down till it's powdery. Oat flour. Then use a cup of the quick oats as they are, and you're good to go. In regards to the oil, of course, I use canola, use avocado, use whatever oil of choice you like, except for extra virgin olive oil. I don't think that's gonna be great in there. Spices. Teaspoon of cinnamon, or use a teaspoon of my apple pie spice substitute that I did, just for a little more apple pie likeness. But the cinnamon in it would be great. I can't taste the maple syrup in here, so it's very, very subtle. So, you know what? I can't really taste the maple syrup in here. Just a little bit of sweetness in the background. These are not super sweet cookies. So if you like them on the less sweet side, you're gonna be good. The apple, I think I used a Gala. Use whatever apple you have, unless it's one of the mushy ones when it bakes, like maybe a Macintosh or something, you might want to stay away from that. But even then, if it's the only thing you have, go ahead and use it. Just do a very fine dice on it, just very small pieces, because you want them to have time to bake through. Mine baked through in the 15 minutes. It's a 15 to 20 minute time. Go with the 15, see what they look like. If they look done, take them out. Oven temperature is 355, which is a little odd. Universal baking time for cookies is usually 350 or 325 sometimes. So go with 350, go with 355. I'm gonna link down below to the full recipe. Ingredient list will be listed in the description, as well as any ingredients you may need, which The only one I can think of is the oat flour. I think these will be good for breakfast, not just dessert. Not overly sweet, good taste. They have good texture. I actually like them, and they're easy to make. This, definitely a keeper in my mind. I think it's a good one. We'll see if Tara likes it when she gets home. You guys ask me usually at some point if Tara likes it, so I will try to remember to go back and put that in the comments below, but if I don't and it gets asked, I'll answer the question. This recipe, winner. Some of my recipes, failures. So my question from the beginning, do I show my failed recipes that I've made? Because I think that it may help you to either not make the recipe or to make the changes I suggest to see if it comes out better for you. I'm in Facebook groups all the time and people post their failed bread recipes. So that's one thing I want to get better at, is fixing mistakes, because I want to be able to help you guys. Leave those comments below. Let me know what you think about these cookies. Vegan, dairy-free, egg-free. They're good. They're good. So hopefully we'll get some more of those kind of videos here on the channel. Love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.